2010, BMW's idea of the Mini had been around for a decade. The slightly larger and haplessly left-field Clubman had appeared in 2007, but otherwise the brand was locked into the supermini archetype prescribed to it by Alexis original. The Countryman is offered in various four-wheel drive versions, comes with a bit more ground clearance than the average 5-door and can be optioned with a ready-tutty, SUV-aping body kit. Does that make it a crossover hatchback? It's easy to concede that it does, judging by the square-cornered, faintly macho styling. And yet stand next to it and see what Mini's decision to split the difference between a 5-door supermini and a Nissan Qashqai-sized soft-roader actually amounts to, and we defy you to conclude that this is anything other than a typical family hatchback. Being 200 mm longer than the car it replaces, at almost exactly 4.3 meters long and less than 1.6 meters tall, the Countryman has the dimensions to fit that description. It has a little more headroom than the average Golf-sized 5-door, tough, as well as a quite generous 450-liter boot. Engines range from the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder in the entry-level petrol Cooper derivative to 2.0 liters and 4 cylinders in the more powerful Cooper S, Cooper D Diesel and Cooper SD Diesel. For a more materially sophisticated, practical and refined feel here than you'll find in its smaller models, the effect of which may be best described as bubbling under in the busy, chromy, idiosyncratic but not quite uniformly well-finished cabin you find in the car. The grey cloth trim of our test car was somber for a minute, as was the piano black trim over much of the fascia, but it's wrapped around front seats that offer more adjustment than those of the firm's lesser models, as well as a little bit more cushioning than Mini's habitual standard. You don't have to sit quite so low in this car as you do in other Minis, with your legs and arms outstretched. If it doesn't suit you, there's plenty of headroom, too, and for a minute, this is certainly progress towards the comfort and versatility of a normal 5-seat hatch, more of it, anyway, than the Clubman offered. The back seats afford less opportunity for adjustment, and yet there are 3 child-sized seats here, or plenty of room for 2 adults if you prefer, thanks to a bench that splits and slides fore and aft by up to 130 mm, as an option, fortunately. Whipped the car up to speed pretty smartly and recorded some competitive numbers despite having to contend with low temperatures, what's probably an above-average curb weight and a not especially aerodynamic body. Given the tricky conditions, it's better to use 30 to 70 miles per hour through the gear's acceleration as a benchmark of the car's pace, rather than standing start sprinting, and on that marker the Mini was 0.7 of a second quicker than the Torqueer, and 100 kilograms lighter, 2.2-liter diesel Mazda 3 we tested. The Audi A3 2.0 TDI 150 we figured most recently was just 0.1 of a second ahead on the same measure. The Countryman's engine isn't quite as flexible as that of the Mazda, needing almost 2.5 seconds more to cover the same acceleration increments in 4th gear. On the road, the diesel's response is a little bit lazy and non-linear at lower revs but seldom feels weak or unwilling. It does both sound and feel a little gruff and noisy, though. While we just about agree that the Countryman is probably a touch more refined than an equivalent Clubman or even a regular 5-door mini hatch, it's not a refined car compared with other mainstream hatchbacks.